Today I'm going to review the Fnatic Gear Rush in the red silent version. This means it comes with Cherry MX red switches, but in case you prefer maybe blue or brown, those would be available as well. And since this is a gaming keyboard, I'm not quite sure what else I should say here in the intro, so let's just switch cams and take a look at the keyboard itself. Obviously we can already see the wrist rest and the red backlight. That one can be controlled directly through the keyboard, but the only options that I've seen is brightness control and the breathing light effect. If I'm wrong, feel free to correct me, because if you quickly enter the software, you will also see that this is an absolutely no-frill software. We have 5 different profiles available and you can assign macros, but that's already pretty much it. And that's why I would say let's get into the main thing here, the keyboard, starting off with the wrist rest. Let me quickly explain how this mechanism works, because you get these 2 clips that you attach to the bottom of the keyboard and then you push it in here, and this is how it will hold your keyboard. This is an okay mechanism, but it comes with a few trade-offs, because what I found is actually if I used it on my big mouse pad and I had my arm on the left or I had my arm on the right, it always kind of tended to lift or wobble to one or the other side, which was a little bit annoying. I tried to fix that, but what actually happened then was that I broke one of these 2 clips. What I then found out though, if I would use this permanently, I would just use double-sided tape, stick it to the keyboard and things would be fine. And in my opinion, this is an absolutely okay solution. It's not the best one after all, but you can live with that. About the wrist rest itself, I thought at first that it could be a little bit wider and the angle could be a little bit more flat, but it turns out that after using it for a few days, it was actually really nice. And what I like here is the soft touch coated surface, which feels very nice to the hand. But let's get actually into the keyboard. Let me quickly plug it out so I can press the buttons and not have any issues. Let's quickly take a look at it. As you can see here, we have, of course, adjustment for the height. We have nice thick rubber feet. In terms of build, it's absolutely nice because it almost doesn't flex at all. It feels very solid after all, because it feels very bendable, which is nice because the plastic feels very high quality, but in a bendable way. So it's not the cheap hard plastic. So I actually like to see that. In terms of the cable, also quite flexible, even though not the maybe thinnest cable. It actually surprised me for one reason. We also get an USB 2.0 hub, and considering that, then the cable is actually very thin and flexible. This is nice. Otherwise, you can see the rest of the keyboard. Very bare bones, nothing really spectacular, but it gets the job done in a really nice way. So I definitely like the layout and everything else. The lighting on its own could have maybe been a little bit brighter. It feels way brighter on my Cursor Strafe. And the font, of course, personal preference, but I kind of would prefer maybe something bigger, but that is fine. So let's jump into the typing experience and so on and check the switches. A quick little sound test. Obviously, this switch is very silent, and I have to say, even though I reviewed already a Cherry MX red switch, this one feels better in my opinion, because for some reason the bottoming out feels way softer and the whole quality feels just better. The keys also don't wobble, and what is kind of the highlight for me is the coating of those keycaps, because it's not matte but it's also not glossy, so something kind of in between with a slightly soft touch coated surface. And I gotta say, this feels really nice and pretty much, like I said, my favorite keycap surface so far. So great. In terms of feedback for typing, I have to say it's not as loud as, of course, in Cherry MX brown or blue. And in case you get annoyed by these, this could be a really great solution for you, because I actually didn't really even remember how good typing on Cherry MX red was. So it is a great experience, especially if you don't like the click so much or the tactile bump. But when it comes to gaming, this is still my favorite switch. Of course, I have to say I didn't try any Cherry MX lightning switches or something like that, because just blue, red or brown, this is my favorite, because I like that we don't have a tactile bump. It feels very soft, very secure and very nice and solid to type on and to game on. So that's where I like it a lot, and I would say let's get quickly into the pros and cons. In terms of pros, I definitely, like I said, like the coating of the keycaps. This is great. We get the USB 2.0 hub. The overall typing experience is really great, but also the gaming experience, especially with the red switches, is absolutely nice. The cable is high quality. The overall build quality is good. When it comes to the wrist rest, it's good and bad, because, like I said, it works out really nice, but the mechanism wasn't the best one. But that's pretty much the only thing that I have to complain about, maybe besides the software not being that capable. But I usually don't use any macros and so on. You can use macros but maybe the adjustments and so on are a little bit more limited. But this would have been pretty much already it. So I'm not quite sure about US pricing or so, but what I've seen here is 80 euros. And considering that with the USB 2.0 hub, with the wrist rest and the overall quality, I can definitely recommend it without any issues. But I also have to point out that this market is very saturated. We have so many keyboards and it always comes down to personal preference. I really like this one. I could use this as my main keyboard without any issues, and I would enjoy it a lot. But if that's the case for you, is something that you can tell me in the comments. Maybe also leave a like and a subscription. But otherwise, that would have been it. Have a nice day. Bye.